It's well established that after weight loss, almost everyone gains some rebound weight at some point. But recent studies have found that the type of food you eat during weight loss actually determines how much weight you'll gain after weight loss. In fact, the type of food you eat actually determines your body weight set point, according to studies. And as usual today, I will be talking about something that I am pretty sure you've never heard of before. A, because I've never seen anyone talk about this, and B, because it's one of the most complex papers I've ever talked about here on this channel. But don't worry, I'm going to make it simple for you. Hey there, I'm Mish, and I am a full-time research scientist with my PhD, and by day I conduct and publish experiments of my own, and by night I find crazy hidden studies to share with you here that pretty much no one else is talking about to help you reach your weight loss, fitness, health, and nutrition goals. And I've kind of been on a metabolism kick lately, which you'll know if you follow me, but today's topic is actually totally different from what I talked about in my last metabolism series. But if you are interested in the effects of pesticides on your metabolism, then check out this video series when you're done with this one. Today we're going to be focusing on how the macronutrient ratios in your diet during weight loss determine how much weight you gain after weight loss. And we'll be talking about how these different macronutrients affect your hypothalamus, which controls your energy expenditure, so how many calories you burn, as well as your appetite and eating behavior. So the hypothalamus is pretty much the central hub of weight regulation in your brain. And studies have found that the type of food you eat actually changes the neuronal structure of your hypothalamus. So your diet actually determines how many new neurons you grow to replace old dead ones. So it determines how many neurons you have in your hypothalamus, as well as how those neurons are arranged, which is known as the neuroarchitecture. You don't need to remember that though, it's just kind of a cool word. In fact, your diet can actually change your body weight set point, and that's actually what today's study will be focusing on. Now, I know that if you watch YouTube or take in content from other people talking about weight loss and fitness, then there's a pretty good chance you've come across people saying that our body weight set point is completely determined by our genetics, so we're just born a certain way and that's the weight we're supposed to be and that's the weight we'll always settle at. But the science does not support them, and that's why I'm here to talk about actual studies, because there are studies showing that our set point is not very genetically determined, and the whole idea that our set point is the result of genes has pretty much been debunked in the scientific community. And if you want the details on that, check out my last video on the genetics of body weight set point. The updated scientific version of set point theory is that our body does generally try to maintain around a certain weight, but the weight that we try to maintain at is not so much determined by our genetics as much as by environmental factors, and most of all, what we eat. So we do have homeostatic weight regulating mechanisms largely controlled by our hypothalamus that do raise or lower our metabolism, depending on what we eat, to keep our body around a certain weight. And today's study is a really cutting edge one that again is really complex, and I'm actually not going to share the title yet because the title gives away the punchline, so I will save that for later in the video. And today's study is really cutting edge stuff that we actually can't yet do in humans, so this study is done in mice, but do note that pretty much every medication or vaccine or treatment or anything that is applied to you scientifically was probably first discovered in mice and rats, or was for the most part. And these researchers looked at how the different diets that obese mice ate while losing weight affected the amount of weight gain they had after losing weight. So what their weight loss diet did to their later rebound weight gain. And as with humans, the way that researchers always fatten up mice pretty much in almost every single study is to give them a high-fat diet. So for 10 weeks, they put mice either on a 45% fat diet, which was high fat, or a 10% fat diet, which was the low fat diet. And as usual across hundreds of studies, they found that the mice who ate the high fat diet became obese very quickly, whereas the mice who ate the low fat diet didn't. And this was despite both types of mice eating the same number of calories. I always love to see this because if this sounds wild to you, I actually have lots of other videos showing this in humans on studies, so check those out if you're interested. But here again, we see that high-fat diet and low-fat diet can lead you to eat the same number of calories, but you gain weight on the high-fat diet and lose weight on the low-fat diet. And then after this initial high-fat diet fattening up period, they put these mice on different diets for weight loss. So for one group, they did a high-fat diet plus calorie restriction, so kind of a standard American way to lose weight. And a lot of Americans are eating 30 35, 40, 45% fat just naturally. So this is pretty similar to the macronutrient ratios you will sometimes see in Western diets. And then for other mice, they put them on a high carb diet that was also calorie restricted. And then for another group, they put them on a high carb diet, aka low fat diet, that was not at all calorie restricted. So we have one high fat diet, calorie restricted, one high carb diet, calorie restricted, and one high carb diet, free eating, eat as much as they want. And then they looked at weight loss and subsequent weight gain. And unsurprisingly, both of the calorie restriction diets caused the mice to lose weight, and also the free eating high carb diet caused the mice to lose just as much weight. And the researchers found that the ones who were on a high fat diet showed changes in their hypothalamic structure such that they were not growing as many neurons, and the overall architecture of their hypothalamus was changing from this high fat diet. And interestingly, they found similar changes from calorie restriction. And all of these changes were associated with metabolic slowing. So both the high-fat diets and the calorie-restricted diet, regardless of macronutrients, actually caused their hypothalamus, their brain, to change in a way that leads to a slower metabolism. On the other hand, the group that lost weight from eating a high-carb diet as much as they wanted without calorie restriction did not get these negative changes in their hypothalamus. And these negative changes to our hypothalamus are almost certainly part of the reason why we get metabolic slowdown after weight loss. So you lose a bunch of weight from calorie restriction, and then this actually changes your hypothalamus to slow down your metabolism. And we're seeing that this also happens with high-fat diets, which could explain why people on high-fat diets are so likely to gain weight, whereas people on low-fat diets lose weight without even trying while eating more calories. It's that our metabolism is actually being sped up by low-fat diets and slowed down by high-fat diets. And now for the rebound weight gain results. After the weight loss, the researchers put all the mice on the same standard control chow diet, so just standard laboratory mouse food. And the only difference now between these mice was the type of food they ate while they were losing weight in the past. So now all these mice are at the same weight, they have the same amount of fat after weight loss, and they're now being fed the same exact type of food with no restriction. And the researchers looked at how the past diet affected their future weight, now all on the same diet. And they found that all of the groups that had calorie restricted for weight loss had rebound weight gain once they were allowed to eat as much as they want. But on top of that, they found that the high-fat diet in particular led to a much higher body weight set point, so they rebounded to a much higher weight and then stayed there, than any of the other groups. And they found that this increased rebound weight gain as well as the higher body weight set point was not driven by eating more. So the mice who had lost weight on a high-fat diet were not actually eating more after that weight loss, and yet they were still gaining a bunch more weight. And what actually happened here is that the change to their hypothalamus was much worse because of that high-fat diet during weight loss, and this actually slowed down their metabolism. So they were just burning fewer calories and eating the same amount as all the other mice, but gaining a bunch of weight and ending up at a higher body weight set point after weight loss. And I do want to note that the diet that the mice were eating after the weight loss period was closer to a lower fat, higher carb diet. So you could be thinking, based on that, well, could it be that the high fat diet group had to make this giant diet change between weight loss and post-weight loss? Like, could that be driving the increased weight gain? And the answer to that is no, because they also had a high protein group that they looked at and found that mice who lost weight on a high protein diet and then switched to this lower protein standard chow diet during the post-weight loss period did not have this crazy rebound weight gain. So it was specifically eating a high-fat diet during weight loss that caused subsequent rebound weight gain. If you are someone who has lost weight on a high-fat diet and are now struggling with rebound weight gain and a higher set point, there is good news, there is hope, because these researchers found that after 6 weeks of a high-carb, low-fat diet, the mice actually recovered and their set point lowered and they lost the weight and their hypothalamus recovered and their metabolism increased again. So these mice, I feel like, were kind of on the standard American dieter journey of becoming obese, gaining a bunch of weight from a high-fat diet, trying to lose weight from a calorie-restricted high-fat diet, and then gaining a bunch of that weight back from rebound weight gain. But the story does not have to end there, because if you change your diet, there is hope that you can restore your brain health and get your hypothalamus working again, get your metabolism higher, and get your set point lower. And this study is also a particularly interesting example of why calorie restriction does not work for weight loss, because it actually messes up your brain in a way that lowers your metabolism so that you just regain all the weight afterwards. And this does not need to make you feel hopeless, because calorie restriction sucks anyway, and there are better ways to lose weight that do not require any calorie restriction. And I've got a playlist specifically on how to lose weight without any calorie restrictions, so check that out if you're interested. And if you have any questions or want to get into discussions or learn more about this kind of stuff, check out my Discord community. And there's also bonus content on my Patreon, so extra notes on each episode with extra tips and findings, as well as extra bonus clips on a lot of episodes, and my random theories that I don't feel like are YouTube ready. So if you're interested in that, check out the Patreon linked above and below. So I hope this video has convinced you that your body weight set point is not determined by your genetics, and that it is actually able to be massively changed by what you choose to eat. If you like this video, please like it and share it so we can get this information out there and help people realize that their weight and their health are within their control. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell below to stay up to date on all of this non-Googleable science, as I like to call it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.